Today we are in the House of Dunn. So I'm gonna give you a wee tour in this place. It's a really nice place to come. It's near Brecon or Montrose. So yeah, looking forward to this. Today we are visiting the House of Dunn. It's a National Trust for Scotland property in the parish of Dunn, lying close to the edge of Montrose Basin and situated approximately halfway between the towns of Montrose and Brecon in Angus, Scotland. Now, why is this place important and who lived in this house? Well, the Dunn estate was home to the Erskine, later Kennedy Erskine family from 1375 until 1980. John Erskine of Dunn was a key figure in the Scottish Reformation. The current house was designed by William Adam and was finished in 1743. Before we go in to see the main house, I decided to come in here to see the lovely places around the house. This is like little wee cottages outside the main house, and so it's now fitted as a museum where you will be able to find the different artifacts or different things that they used to use for daily living around the house. So it's quite interesting if you ever come to visit the House of Dunn. And so after this, we will be heading to the main house where we will be going through a tour that will be guided by the tour guides of the House of Dunn, and they will be explaining to us the whole history about the house and about the family Erskine. This part of the museum is dedicated to stories of Angus, people who were from this area and their contribution and how they used to live during this period. So it's very interesting. So I really recommend this tour if you ever come to Angus, because Angus is a nice region in Scotland and it's full of history as well. Now, let's join the tour.
All good to proceed? Yes. So it's usually Mrs. Perry the cook who comes out and takes over, hitting me with a ladle, telling me to all whittling on, that she has swanned off to the Lake District in Cumbria, through that archway with rantings of Wordsworth daffodils and clouds. I have no idea what she is going on about when she left on Friday, and I have no idea what Mr. Perry makes of all this nonsensical rant. It strengthens my case that she is going to Lally. So I've done the largest kitchen, I'm sure you'll agree, for a house this size. So things to note if you do become employed here is the fact there is no running water into this building for another 2 decades. So all the water is coming from the courtyard outside the black box, has a pump inside which is connected to the dish of the lake on the estate. So the water coming out the end of that tap is yellow, green or brown, depending on the time of year, so that it can be used for the horses to get a drink or wash the floor. Please do not drink that water if you become employed here, because you will die. Simple as 3 bells in total, 2 bell boards, one at that end and one at this end here. Okay? Every bell has a label corresponding to the room where the bell pull is located that rings that bell. Okay, if you cannot read, a lot of the staff at the moment cannot read, so if you have that problem, do not think you can get out of your duties, because every bell has a different tone, so you'll be assigned to a tone, not a bell. Simple as that. Okay, so I'll demonstrate the different tones and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you will tune to your bell, so you have no excuse not to answer that call. The gun room, this is where the guns of the estate are now housed. All the guns you can see in that cabinet are real, they can be fired, but they have been decommissioned in some way for obvious safety reasons. At one point in his life, the room where the guns are now stored was where the butler was residing. So in 1867, the year now, the gentleman living in this room was a chap called Mr. John Grant. He was the butler, this is where he lived in this part of the building, and the fishing room where the rods are is where he polished the silver. Mr. Grant's claim to fame is the fact he was one of the 600 gallant men who was involved in the charge of the Light Brigade. He survived that event, and after the war he was brought back to the estate by Captain William, who was the 18th Laird, and brought to the house as his butler for two simple reasons. One, he was in the gentleman's company and he knew the man, so he trusted him. The second reason, he trusted him. Full stop. That is the bond and connection between the two men. So now this room is used for where the guns of the estate are now living. So in the cabinet there, the most notable guns to look for are the two lying on the floor. People describe them as 7-barrel shotguns, which they are. They do have 7 barrels each, and they are shotguns, but these guns are called knock guns, N-O-C-K. So these guns were used aboard ship by the Royal Navy to persuade the men to go into battle. So basically, if they had a mutiny about to break out, they would bring this gun out to persuade them otherwise. If they kept coming forward, they would pull the trigger, severely injuring or killing 7 men with one single pull of that trigger. So there are two versions of that gun in there. The first version at the back has a longer barrel. There were only 625 of those guns ever made because they were found that when you pulled the trigger, it broke your shoulder. Simple as that. The second gun, they thought if they cut the barrel in half or shorten it down, that will alleviate that problem, but now that gun, when you pull the trigger, dislocates your shoulder. I've no idea the pain difference between break and dislocation, but they sound very sore. So the big gun underneath there is called a punt gun, P-U-N-T, so that gun would have been used to kill multiple numbers of wildfowl, geese and ducks. Okay, so that is used over in the Montrose Basin, which is the body of water that was part of the estate at one point. To get it there's a picture under the dog there on the wall of it being strapped to the carriage and taken over by the gentleman to then be strapped to a punt boat that you see on the desk. So this is the entrance hall. At one point in its life it was actually smaller than this. So there you see the archway here before 1855. There used to be a wall with ornate plasterwork and 2 doors coming down. Okay, you see evidence of the former door frame still in the floor there. And we know exactly what this wall and 2 doors look like because it was identical to the wall opposite. So that's Mr. Adam, the architect. He's applied the symmetry on the outside of the building. Now he brings his lines of symmetry. They're responsible for the archway being built with a lady called Lady Augusta Fitzclarence, who you hear a lot about today. This is one example of the mark of her presence that she's left upon this house and this day. And she's simply done so to allow more light to come into the entrance hall, so when she has guests such as yourself, she could come down the staircase with the sun radiating on her face like a lady would. Her words, not mine. So she is married to the Honourable John Kennedy Erskine. She has 3 children to her first husband John, 2 daughters and 1 son. Her son is in the corner there beside the lady in the purple jacket in the marble bust. And his name is William Henry, and he goes on to become the 18th Laird of the So welcome to the old library, hence the reason there are very few books in this room. The new library is located above here. So Lady Augusta's son now appears in this room. He is on the wall and painting there between 2 vases, and as he grows up he becomes a captain in the 17th Lancers. Therefore his name changes to Captain William Henry Kennedy Erskine. As you know, his regiment sees action during the Crimean War, especially during that very famous event in charge of the Light Brigade, and after the war that's how Mr. Grant is brought back to the house by him to become his butler. So not only does he bring his butler back, he also brings back his horse. So this wall here has various images of horses that the family have owned over the years. All of these horses, bar one, are all stud horses used for breeding, all mixed with Arabian mares. Apart from the horse above the door, the white charger, his name is Timekeeper, and that is Captain William's horse, and after the war is over it's shipped from the Turkish region to the port of Montrose and brought to the estate, where it lives on the estate and it dies on the estate. He's 28 years old. It is buried on the estate. When you leave the house today, if you go down the front steps of the house, take a right along the path, veer to the left, you will find the grave. There is a stone there marking the spot. Because it's a time when people communicated by quill and ink, feather and ink, To show the connection between man and beast, prior to burial he removes 2 of its hooves. They are then refashioned into inkwells, which now sit on his desk there. Silver mounted lids applied with the name of the horse inscribed in full to both lids. Timekeeper by regulator from the stud of a diamond mare. So Captain William goes on to have 4 children during his lifetime. His son Augustus becomes the 19th laird when his father passes away. He was the gentleman in the photograph, stood in the courtyard with the 3 fishes feet in the tackle room. And his daughter is Miss Violet Erskine, who is my employer, and will be receiving us next in what has been described as the finest room in Scotland. Erskine, she'll show you around this part of the house and take you upstairs and show you what work is being done. It's a big room, plenty of space. So keep yourself nice and safe. Enjoy the house. Thank you very much.
This room would have been used for dancing and partaking of local wines. So with lots of dusting for you to do. The plasterwork was completed in 1743. That was 2 years before the iconic failure of Culloden. The family did have Jacobite leanings, but because Lord Don was working for the British government, he could not come out and say that he was a supporter of the Jacobites. So here we have God Mars. He is the god of agriculture, but also of war. If you look here, he is quite triumphantly standing on the English crown, along with a very dejected English lion. At this side, we have the Scottish thistle on the shield, along with the French fleur-de-lis. This side, we have the Union Jack, along with the German emblem, as that was their supporters. Above it, we have the goddess Minerva. Minerva is the goddess for justice and peace, which was a nod to Lord Don as he was a judge. Some of the weapons, as you can see, are pointing inwards, and that was to represent the family's struggles, not being able to show who they really wanted to be. Minerva is, however, pointing to the sun god, Louis XV, who was a big supporter in the first Jacobite rising. Lady Augusta here with her 3 children. We have Millicent, William Henry in the red dress, and Philomena on her right, sorry. William Henry is in the red dress to hide him, the fact that he is a little boy, therefore he is more valuable and will be targeted. The black sash represents the mourning, as is the cap, as at this point Lady Augusta was in mourning for her husband John. Lady Augusta's father was William IV, and together they had 10 children, all illegitimate, but they were very much in love. This is the family collected here. It does say a room in Windsor, although the family never made it to Windsor. This is a very early Photoshop, if you will, showing our royal connections. Alice, over here, was married on Augustus. On her knee, Millicent is standing, and Millicent was our final laird. When she died, sadly, that was the end of our line. This is one of Lady Augustus's bedrooms. And for the size of the house, you'll see it's quite a modest bedroom. All the bedrooms in the house are very small. This is an original bed. They did believe that if they were flat on their back, the demons would come in the middle of the night and take their soul. So they slept sitting up. Rather uncomfortable, if you ask me. Lady Augusta loved this room as it gave her the perfect views out into her garden. There used to be a curved greenhouse, but sadly we've lost that over the years. The lady would get into the bath, the water would be half filled, and then if she wanted a top up of hot water, it would be poured into the funnel. There's a pipe that goes halfway down, and that way the water would mix through without burning the lady. Once I'm done in the bath, you will then wheel it to the top of the stairs, get a large pot, and collect the water from the tap at the front. And you got all the good jobs here.
According to the tour guides of the House of Dunn, this is one of the most spooky rooms in the house. So I will be making another video some of the time during the night time to see the stories of the ghost of the House of Dunn.
So this is the saloon room. The family would gather here to play cards, watch the views, and a bit of frivolity on the piano. Lord Dunn, he had a friendship with Mary Queen of Scots and John Knox, who, if you know Scottish history, you'll know he's a lovely man. This is a picture of Mary Queen of Scots abdicated, making Montrose a royal borough. Montrose used to be a free borough until the Lords of Dunn kept ransacking the town and everyone in it, taking what they wanted, to the point where Charles II got involved and said, if you don't stop, I'm sending my men in to sort you out. So we are a royal borough because of the Lords of Dunn. So again, for the time, this is a fantastic invention. Your job will be to bring the water up again from outside, heat it in the kitchen, bring it upstairs, pour it in here, and then a lady servant will pump the shower. I enjoy very long showers, countless times a day. So be prepared to get those arm muscles going. The water's then pumped round to the top and it rains down, and in a cycle. For the time, fantastic.
Well, I hope you guys enjoy this interesting video about the House of Dunn. Definitely a nice place to come and visit. It's way worth it. And as you know, I hope you like the video. I hope you give me thumbs up, a like, comment where you're watching these videos from, and I'll see you next time in a different adventure in David and Scotland. Till next time, bye bye.